Boom Racing BRX02. I've got it right here, the Land Rover. This is going to be a detailed build on this, so get yourself some coffee. Sit back, relax. Let's get this thing built. Let's go. As I'm opening this, getting things ready, I saw something that I've just got to show you guys. In addition to the box artwork, you open this thing up. How awesome is that? Oh man, I just had to show you. Oh, sweet. The new old. This is pretty serious packaging. Okay, this is not what I expected, guys. I'm expecting baggies and things like that, but this is nice. Holy cow. Oh, wow. This is on a higher level than what I'm used to. I am not used to this. Oh, wow. Is this what modeling is all about? That's... wow. This is on another level, gentlemen. I have... wow, this is my first boom, but this is not going to be my last. Holy moly. This is beyond my expectations. This is beyond my expectations. Wow. But let's get the body open. So the body is a completely different kit. Wow. Holy moly. You know what? I'm not going to get into this right now. We're going to start the kit build. Going to start with the chassis and all that stuff. We'll get into this in depth. I don't want to take everything out, not have it get packed in there or possibly lose something. So, wow, this is immaculate. Let's get this started here. You got all your normal stuff right here. Notice the papers are opening up like this. All your parts, pieces. I have never built a leaf sprung vehicle, ever. So this is very new to me. Cable wiring retainers. I saw those. I was wondering what those are for. Nice. There's the chassis. I guess this is where we start. This is where we start the build. All right. The first step, these are the parts that we're going to be using, and that's what we're building. These pieces right here actually came in this bag that says parts. There are two different size set screws, short ones and really short ones. Basically, these are 3mm. These are about 4mm. You want to use the 3mm ones for the body mounts. And there we have the left side of the chassis complete. I'm going to go ahead and put the right side of the chassis together because it's the exact same thing. And there you have both sides of the frame rail. The next step requires these parts right here, and we'll be putting that together. With that side assembled, this just simply goes right on. And here's the chassis. I gotta tell you, this is a solid and huge chassis. Very nice job, Boom Racing. We have the servo mounts. Here's your mini servo mount here and your steering servo mounts right here. It's bumper time. With the chassis work done for now, it's time to move on to the transmission. And these are the parts needed right here. We get started with this, and then we get into this. Yeah, it's about to get technical. I want to look at this 2-speed gear real quick. There's your shifting mechanism right there. You're driving on this gear right here, push it this way, it locks in, and now we're driving on this gear right here, and this one can spin. And with a difference in size gears, it looks like the transmission is going to have a nice spread to it. This is the assembly of that 2-speed unit we just looked at. Tiny little screws right here. They hold that plate that I just put on in place. And yes, I know, should be using thread lock. I highly recommend it. Between the gears, like in the book, 2.5 millimeter, those are the thicker ones. And you have the 3 thin ones that have to go right here. So the 3 thin ones go out here like that. And there's the transmission. Make sure your shifter is working pretty good. Got all that, and now it's time to move on to the transfer case. And that would be all of these parts right here. Interestingly enough, there is an optional overdrive gear set on this. Huh, you can overdrive that front end. Now it's time to put it into the chassis. Oh, look at that little bitty drive shaft. Mounting the transfer case uses a short 6mm and a 10mm underneath. It's coming together, guys. And now it's time for that front axle. Oh boy, leaf springs. We have some caster and spring tuning tips here. These axles are beefy. Now, full metal, U-joints. It's got this right here. I pulled the cover off of it. With the cover, it looks like that. Just there to protect the axle threads and all that. High pinion. Very neat. All 4 leaf packs are the same. Now the front here is actually showing on the front assembly only 2. The top and the second one down. That'll be this one and this one. So these springs right here are going to come off. And I'm going to flip it just like it shows in the book right here. As best I can tell, this is the setup right here. So, yep, we have leaf springs. All right. When assembling the tie rod, I got to show you guys some stuff up close. There's a long 4mm set screw. You put that into the rod end, into one of the short ones, along with the washer. On top of that, there are some little O-rings that go in right there. When it's assembled and squared up, the O-rings and the flange part must be at the top. It must all be in the same plane. Maybe there's a leaf spring adjustment that I'm missing, but with the spacers on, the tie rod actually really hits the leaf springs. So I did not put the spacers on there, but it does show spacers in the book, and they're still actually hitting the leaf spring. So I guess I'll see when I put this thing on the truck and just see how it all finally goes together. This is to set up a little bit more clear. You can see the spacers I was talking about right there. So, and they do go underneath the knuckles. Just have a little bit of a clearance issue there. Maybe I can adjust the 2 bottom screws and get into some of this right here to alleviate that. But we'll have to see once I get it mounted up. Now it's time for the rear axle. Now the rear axle shows the same thing, basically turning the pinion gear up is what we're doing here. So, and it shows 3 leaves in the back. So I'm gonna set my leaf pack up just like this. Just for reference, so I know where I started, I did put a little bit of a mark right here. 4 bolts hold this in. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are just kind of in there for decoration. So you pull this out, and here are your gears. They are well greased, which is awesome. Very nice. They remind me of a 10-2 style gear. So, pretty nice. Okay, it is turned up 10 degrees, and I put these long screws on the back side of this so we can verify that everything is pretty much perfect. This is the rear spring pack I'm using. I'm using the top, which you've got to have the top, then the second one down, and then the last one. I believe the book shows the top one, the middle one, and this one. But I'm gonna go this route right here. Whee! Here we go. Looks like we're ready to start putting these axles on the chassis now. Got some rear anti-wrap bars as well. Yep, we sure are. On the shackles, notice one side of the hole is smaller than the other because the pin goes in this way right here. Time to assemble the anti-wrap bars right here, and they're supposed to be 67 millimeters hole to hole. You use one of the short ends and one of the long ends on each side. Because it's easier to measure like this between the rod ends, and we are at 26.37 millimeters. Now it's time for the front anti-wrap bars right here. And these pieces right here are brass with O-rings. I'm going to show that to you right here. These are the brass pieces right here. On the right is one without the O-ring, and then the other one, I put the O-ring on them. Go ahead and get that inside O-ring on and done. This way, all you had to mess with is the outside O-ring once you go to mount these on the chassis. The shocks are already together, but now it's time to put this pivot ball installation and removal tool to use. Notice this right here. Notice what side the ball comes in on the pivot retainer. That's important. This is here to put in and remove the balls from the retainer. This is pretty darn genius. I will hang on to this piece right here. So let's go ahead and get this started. Put the retainer in, doesn't matter which side, but this side is important because the ball goes in over here. Put the screw in right here. And then you're using the flat side of this, put this on the screw. You bring that in. Just like that. Then you just simply tighten it up. Watch this. And there you go. Check that out. That's awesome. And it's the same thing at the rod end as well. Shocks are now done. Ready to go. Oh yeah, time to start putting the axles on the chassis. Now, one thing of note here, I had to compress the suspension quite a bit to get the shock and stuff to actually go on. Over here, I've got to put a nut on there, but yeah, you do have to compress this a pretty good bit. When you do, all that stuff will actually align. I was a little bit concerned about that, honestly, but it seems like it's what it needs to be. Yeah, it's stiff. And the front is done. That is stiff suspension, let me tell you. But I guess that's what it's supposed to be, right? Now onto the back end. Drive shafts. That's simple enough. I gotta tell you guys before I put the drive shafts on, that is a seriously stiff suspension. I may end up coming back and taking all the leaves off and just leave the main leaf. Granted, I still got a lot more to put on it though, right? One thing to make sure of, make sure your drive shafts are in phase, as in the U-joints here and here are the same. You can see these are right here And so are the fronts. Time for the servos and skid slider. This servo came with the kit, so that's what's going in. Other than the servo that came with it, I'm not putting one in for the steering just yet. That'll be later on because I still have a lot of building to do. It's finally time to use these. The book says 35 millimeters in here. I'm close enough. Here's the drag link assembled. It goes on the back side of the servo and it'll sit like this right here onto that. The curved side goes like this. Now it's time for the shift servo. This is the shift link right here. It's super easy. All you gotta do is just simply turn that on and bring it in. Here's the little bitty servo saver. And this is kind of small. Okay, that's good enough to hold it for now. I have not centered that servo. I have not done anything with the servo. So before I power this thing up, on that first time I power it up, I've got to take that back loose. And when I get that centered correctly, I'm going to take the servo loose right here so I can actually get to that bolt and correctly and make sure it's tight. Okay, we're getting into the motor mount. Now again, I'm not putting a motor in this for right now. But the mount will go on. In case you're unfamiliar with how this works, the pinion gear, the motor actually goes to the inside. So that is actually how the thing turns. It's not to the outside spur gear like what most other things are. This one is going to the inside. And the motor mount is in place. Now, as far as pinion gears go, it looks like you can actually go up to 14. Looks like 15 and 16 might be a bit much, but yeah, you can actually adjust this pinion gear. Now it's time for the receiver box. Now this is your seal right here. Your servo wires will go into there and pop out here, and it sits just like that right there. And then you have this little plate you got to put over there to hold it in place. And would you look at that? Even got my own VIN number. That's nice. That goes right there. These pieces right here are meant to hold your wires down, and these go into these places like this right here and all over the place. So since I don't have any wires going in here, I don't have my servos and ESCs and all that stuff, I'm going to save these for later. But these hold your wires nice and neatly, all your wires. It's time for the wheels and tires. Woohoo! This is the assembly right here.
And look, it's a roller. Now, I'm not sure why, but I had to add shims underneath the spacer on the front to make the wheel tighten up. The backs were fine. They tightened up perfectly. But the fronts, I had to add some shims up there for some reason. And just when you thought we were done, it's time to put the body mounts on. Now, these right here, there are two of them, and I've got both of those here. They came in the chassis kit. These pieces right here were in the body. So that's where these were in the body. So, yeah, if you don't see these on the chassis, it's in the body box.
Well, guys, there it is. That was a long video. Sorry about that, but there's a lot to be done on this. There were a few spots where I needed to take a 3mm 0.5 thread tap and just kind of clean the threads out. Just a couple spots where the coating and all kind of got in there, kind of gummed up the threads. But otherwise, this thing is beautiful. I mean, beautiful. Way beyond scale as far as anything I've done before. But the chassis is done. Now, we get to start messing with the body. But, yeah, that's a whole nother video because, whew, got a lot to do. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you're still watching after all of that, you are a trooper. You are the top of the top shelf. Let me tell you. Guys, check that description. I'll link this up down below. Use those links. Hit that subscribe, ring that bell. And again, if you're still watching, you're an amazing person. Thank you. Have a great day.
If you're still watching, you are top shelf. You are the cream of the crop, the pick of the litter. You are phenomenal. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. Now, down below, there are links for the products you see. Also for channel memberships, if you guys want to be a part. Channel members get early viewing on pretty much everything that I can. So, guys, check that description. There's a lot of info down there. Thank you all for watching.